Hello guys, this is Fort Defender, and welcome back to yet another video. Today we got a Star Wars Legion video again. We're going to be painting these Phase 1 clone troopers that I talked about not too long in that unboxing. I'm going to get this out, which is our sheet on how to do these. So we'll have that sit there, hopefully, and let's sort everything out. So pretty much what you're going to do to start off is, you can do this differently. So how I do it is I build them all, I glue them to the bases, and then I prime them. And I prime them in a white color, which I will get the exact can, name, all that. I'll show you that before I go prime them. But right now, if you're going to follow this tutorial, the way I'm going to do it, I'm just going to glue them all together, prime them, and then finish them up after the priming. So if you don't like that, then this probably isn't for you. But if you want to follow my tutorial, that's probably how I'm going to do it. Okay guys, if you don't feel too comfortable with gluing or you're not real experienced, I'll do a quick tutorial on how I like to glue them, especially with this glue. If you feel pretty experienced already, I'll put you a timestamp to skip ahead until we prime it. But if you want to stick around, if you feel more comfortable if I were to show you, then I can do that real quick. So as for gluing the helmets, I don't put a ton in. Let me zoom in here. Now I don't put a ton in the helmet, I just put enough, just like 2 little dots maybe, because this usually doesn't come off. And by doing that, by putting it in the helmet, you can securely put it on, and it's not too much. It's not too much that you can't like move it around. It doesn't leak out, even though this dries pretty well. And then the next part that's kind of harder, especially with the ones where the arm is in 2 pieces, I like to kind of do both at the very, like, as close as possible to almost the same time. This does dry quick, but you usually have enough time to maneuver it. So I like to do it both fairly quickly, and that way I can maneuver around if I need, and sometimes it doesn't fit in exactly, so that makes it a little bit difficult, but you might need to sand it down if it's not fitting perfectly. But if it doesn't bother you too much, like it doesn't bother me, then you just do the best with what you got. And so I just put a little bit in each like arm socket, I guess you could say, and then I put both in, and you can see this isn't perfect, so you might need to put some glue in here. Do that. Put some right there. Maybe I put a little on the outside too, just to make sure it sticks if you need to. Like I said, it dries clear, and you can't even see it on there once it dries. So then you can put both together, and then I kind of just squeeze the arms while pushing right here. I kind of just squeeze it, and you might want to hold it there for a second to get it to stay in place. Sometimes you have to maneuver a little so it fits better, because usually these things fit pretty well and they fit pretty snugly. So if you find the right spot, they'll all work together, and you can see that it fit in there pretty well. And then you just got the back, which I just just put a little bit to cover the base of the crevice there, and then I will put this in here, and it spreads out pretty nicely. Just don't do too much that squirts out. If you do put an excessive amount of glue, it's gonna stay on the mouth, but this glue is very great, so it doesn't do that unless you put a ton of glue. But that's pretty much what you want to do for the rest of them. Not too complicated, but yeah, if you want to get to the priming now, I'm going to skip until I got all these ready to prime. Okay guys, I am back. I did a base layer on these here. As you can see, they're all white now, so we will go back and fix the base, I promise, we will. I did a single coat just to save time. If you want to try a second coat, totally up to you. Honestly, I don't, just because even if there's spots that you miss, like I missed a little bit under here, with the technique that I do, you usually can't tell if you missed, like a little bit under the gun, which really doesn't matter as much, maybe a little bit on the arm, Usually the spots you miss are going to be places that you don't easily see. So if you want to make sure that it's completely perfect, then yeah, you might want to try to do a second coat or a second round with a different position. But this will do for me. So let's get our brushes here. I've got a wild assortment of brushes here. But you're going to want to go for a smaller brush for the blaster. So I think I could make by with this brush here. It's a bit of a smaller tip. Let's see if I can zoom in on it for you. It's a little frayed. Because I don't have any new brushes right now. But it's not that long, and it's not that big. I like using that for the highlights. And so you're going to want that for the blaster, like a smaller brush head. Set it there. As for the other part, washing it, I usually like to have a brush that's a little bit, I don't know, a little bit wider. Like this should do. This brush should do. Unfortunately, I don't have any new brushes to show you guys. I'm looking around here. That would work really well. But I have a brush like this. I like using that for my wash, which I'll show you how to do. So pretty much what we're going to do is I'm going to grab real quick one of my other troopers that we're going to be trying to mimic the pattern, and I'll show you what colors I'll be using. So I'll be right back. Okay, so pretty much the look we're going to be trying to imitate is the look of this trooper here, with the blue and the sand and the shiny gun. So that's the look we're going to try to go for. So to do this, I'll set him in the back for now. So for the blue highlights, I like using this paint here. I'm sure there's better blues. This is just what I have from Walmart. It was only like $1, so I just bought that. I honestly like how it turns out. As for the highlighting of the gun, we use this one, the metallic gunmetal, like metallic finish, but that's after we put black on it. Again, I don't have the best black because I use it so many times and so much. I just have this apple barrel jet black, which it works, but there's better paints out there, I'm telling you, unfortunately, but it gets the job done for now. And I really like this Citadel non-oil for highlighting and for like the wash almost. It gives it that worn look that you see back there. So this one, I would say that's the top of the line. And then also this Citadel paint here. It's actually a flesh color, but I really like how it turns out for the sand and for the sand highlighting when you brush it on really lightly. So these are the colors we'll be using, but that's what we're going to try to go for. So I'm going to show you one and we'll go from there. Okay guys, so I'm back. I did grab another new brush. This one we're going to use for the black. This one we're going to use for the wash. This one's alright, we're going to use it for the blue. So I'm going to pick one of these here. We're also going to need a color for the backpack, which I think I'm just going to go with black, because it kind of fits the color scheme. Nothing crazy. So I'm trying to pick one of these here that would probably be good to do. This one's a little bit too close, so that's going to be a little complicated. This might work because he's got a big gun, so I can show you a lot of the techniques. I like this guy because he's a good mix, so I think I'm going to go with him. Also, with the binoculars here, you could do it in all the gunmetal gray if you want to, which is probably what I do. Or you could do black and then the gunmetal gray, but I think I'm just going to go all gray on it. Or if that's not working, because it's not the thickest paint, so you might actually want to go black and then gray now I'm thinking about it, with this paint at least. But if you have a better black, you just went with black, that works too. So I got some paint over here, and we're going to grab this little guy here and paint him, hopefully. So I'm going to zoom in on him. There he is. So what I wanted to do is I'm just going to do the shoulder pads, like right there and right here. I'm just going to do that all blue, and then I might even come back and do a little black along here with that detail there. And then I'm just going to do a blue stripe right down his head, which I might need a thinner brush now that I think about it. Let me grab that. So yeah, depending on what you have, try to do the best with what you can work with. As you can see here, I have a lot of older brushes, so not the best, but when you're newer, it helps a lot. Don't be afraid to make mistakes, because you can easily fix that, which I'll show you. But when getting your paint, if you can see in the background, don't overload the brush. Just stroke it. Get something like a paper towel like I have here, or something you can stroke it on a couple of times so it's very, very light, almost like a pencil. Think about that. Or a color pencil. That's you don't want it to be like super overpowering. Think about this is like just drawing, and this brush is very crazy, so it might not work too well. Let me see what I can do about that. That's the problem with having older brushes, is that they start to fray a little bit, and that can create problems. Okay, I'll be right back when I have this resolved. Okay, so I kind of trimmed up the brush here. Now it's a lot better. But make sure you hold on to the base, because we're gonna paint that last. And if you get any paint on it, you don't really care as much. You don't want to mess up the model you've already done, so that's why I wouldn't hold anything other than the base. So it's a little uncomfortable to paint like this recording, but we're just gonna lightly do this arm. Just be really careful. If you make a mistake, that's alright, we can always fix that. Zoom back in on him. There we go. You can always make a mistake and fix it. I've done it many times, so I can say from experience that you can do that. So I'm going to paint this real quick, because it's very hard to do this in this position, but I'll be right back once I've done both shoulder pads. Okay guys, see, this brush is not the best. So I did the shoulder pads, but you can see that I got a little bit in other parts, which I'll show you how to fix. It's totally fine. Don't worry about it. I'm going to grab my smaller brush though for a little bit of the touching ups. Because you want to be able to touch up this area right here. So I'm going to do that. You could go underneath if you wanted, like all the way underneath, but I'm just going on the edges, because that's the only thing people will notice, if they even notice. Keep in mind, guys, that these are so small that there's a good chance that people will never be able to tell little tiny things like that. If I don't do it, it might bother me. So I did finish it. Like I said, there's still a little bit on the white armor. That's okay. You can totally fix that. I'll show you how. But now we're going to want to do the top of his head here with the blue. Just kind of go up and over. So usually there's a groove, as long as you don't like overcoat the first coat of the priming. I may have done a little too much, but it looks like there's still a groove, which is a good place for your brush to go. But you'll see that there's a little groove on the top of the helmet. You can just follow that groove all the way down. So I'll show you, and then you do the little sides too. Just be really careful and do the sides. It's okay, again, if you mess up, get anywhere else, I'll show you how to fix that in a minute. Okay, as you can see, it's not perfect. I got a little bit on the sides, which I'll show you how to fix. It's all good here. But what we're going to want to do now is switch to our black brush, and we're going to work on the gloves right here, the gloves, and the gun. So you can, the hands and the guns are pretty close. So usually you can just get both all in one, just get everything. So we're just gonna do that. Just don't do too much. You can do a little bit more paint than you did before, but try not to go crazy on the amount of paint you're using. You can go a little bit wetter than the blue, because the black needs a little bit more, to be honest, unless you are planning on doing multiple coats, which my tutorial I do not plan to do multiple coats. So yeah, pretty much you just do the blaster and the gloves, like the gloves here and here. Just make sure you pay attention to the hand right here where the glove ends. You can paint yourself like a little line to make sure of that. But yeah, I'll be right back with that. Okay guys, as you can see, I got the blue and the gun now on with his hands, watching out for the white here. You don't want to get that, or here, which I didn't. But yeah, you're also going to want to do the backpack and this kind of strap as the first part. I just recommend doing it in black, unless you want to go creative, get a brown or something like that. But that would be the next part I suggest for this base layer. Okay, so we have our little guy here. I decided to do black. I did the straps in black, the back in black. No reference there. But that is our base layer for this guy. And you're going to be like, well, what about the black for the eyes, or the black for the other details? So you could do this little belt here in black. You could. But I found, because it's such a small scale, that people don't really notice it, or it doesn't really show up as much. So if you want to do it, you can definitely go ahead and do that area right there in black. But for this tutorial, I don't think I am, because I kind of like the way that I've done it before, which is the one I showed you at the end, and I kind of like that result. So it's up to you right here if you want to do that or not. If you do, good luck. If you do not, then we'll move on to the next step here. Okay, now that I've seen that it's really dry, because my brush strokes have been pretty light with the amount of paint, and I did add a little bit of the black there over the blue, which I thought was kind of cool. Now that that's all dry, we have this. We shake it up. If you haven't done so already, I already did, just to get it ready. And let me set this right here. This is what your bigger brush is going to be. This even might be too big. You might be able to do a bigger brush on these ones back here, maybe this guy, but you're going to want a thinner brush if you have one to do on this one, this model that we're painting, just because he is pretty closed off in his stance. So it makes it a little bit harder. So you're going to want a thinner brush that's wide, which we will grab real quick. Okay guys, so I have this brush here, which again, a little bit wider, but smaller in general. So we have our troop right there. We're gonna shake it up again. We're gonna get it on the brush, and you might want to go a little bit heavier on this until it's kind of shiny, as you can see here. And pretty much you're gonna paint them. You're gonna want even more than that. I didn't even do enough. You want a little bit more than that even. You want to kind of really get in here on the trooper. You might want to have a paper towel ready, which is what I do, but we're gonna go a lot at once. It's gonna seem like a lot, but it's really not that much. I mean, it seems like a lot, but it's really not, especially when it kind of pulls up a little. And we'll kind of deal with the big dark spots. When you see the big dark spots, move it around. You don't want the big dark spots staying. You kind of want to pull into where there would be shadows. Okay guys, so I continued to do that on the entire model. I didn't even use a paper towel. And I'm liking how it's turned out right now. Maybe a little bit much down here. Sorry, use this brush for. Just kind of brush it around a little bit more. Make sure you don't get those bubbles. And I'm kind of liking this. Might do it a little bit more, like right here. But I did it all around, and I'm really liking the shading. The face mask, that's how you do it. You do a little bit more in that area, and it'll stay there and pool if you do enough. So make sure you do too much on purpose for the face mask. I'm really liking this. So we'll be back for the last stage, which is more highlighting. Okay guys, I'm back. Now, about that, it looks pretty good. But for any of the mistakes, we're going to cover that up real quick. So we're going to get this paint, which I've already opened, which is the flesh color. And you're just going to get a little bit on your brush and make sure that you try to get almost to a dry brush level by wiping it off. And anywhere you see that you kind of messed up a little, that's all right. We will just kind of dry brush this on, kind of like that. Let me focus, kind of like that. So now you can't really tell, and you kind of just do it like a weathering effect. You can do it like that. If you want to do a little here, just kind of add more depth to it. And maybe you want a little bit on the side of the helmet. And there's not too many places. I might do a little here. It's just a little bit of a white spot. So you just do it really, really dry. We can do it like a weathering effect, which is pretty cool. It's a kind of added bonus to make it look cooler and cover up accidental mistakes. Some areas, you just kind of dry brush it on very gently. Kind of add that level of depth additionally to it. I do recommend that you do add some around the feet, like I'll show you in a second. But that will be for covering up and kind of blending what the wash did to the bottom of the base. So you can go a little bit heavier on this, because you're going to kind of go around. Now this isn't the final basing, but it's kind of helpful to do this for highlighting the shoe or the foot with a little bit of paint, because nothing is ever like clean in the Star Wars universe. So we're going to show that it's been marching through the sand, you know, getting sand all over his feet. And it just works better with the theme that we were covering up our mistakes, and it kind of fits the overall theme that there was a lot of sand and it's leaving its mark. So it kind of just adds to the level. See, I might have done a little bit too much there, you can tell. But if that's the case, just dry off your brush completely, and then spread it out a little. I can see his feet are almost like a battle droid, but he's been marching through the sands, which is pretty cool now. And I might add a little bit more in a few different spots to him, but other than that, that's the part of highlighting with the fixing. So just do it wherever you had a little bit of mistakes, and I'll show you how to highlight the gun right here. Okay, I did do a little bit more of that technique on the backpack here, which I will focus up so you can see a little bit more wear and tear. So I did get my silver paint that I showed you before, this one here, and we will just lightly go along this, just doing a light layer, make it a bit reflective, Just watch out for the hands if you can. But you're just going to go back and forth with the gun, doing a very light layer if you can. Using a very thin brush here. But that's how you're going to get your reflective effect. Okay, now this guy is looking really, really good with his blaster. I'm really liking how this is coming out. If I can get it to focus here. Okay, I really like this. So what you're gonna do for the base, just gonna paint that same flesh color, like tan, all around the base. Just go a little bit thicker than what you were doing for the feet effect. And it's just gonna take a couple of times going all the way around to cover up for the wash on the white, which is black. But just do this and to the outside, and you'll be good in a few layers. Okay guys, so that is how you do one of these troopers. I hope that you liked this tutorial. If you did, that'd be really cool if you hit that like and subscribe button. And if anything is bothering you, you can always go and touch up with the weathering effect, which I might do here. But I really like how this turned out so far. But I really do hope that this helped you out, guys. And yeah, thanks for watching.